Hi, this is Mr. West, Rossick's Most Stylish. Here I am. Look at that. Now then, you've got to the your work back now, and we're going to focus on this last question in this video. How to improve the question. The main cause of civil war was religion. How far do you agree with this view? So let's get into the video and see how to improve it. Alright, first things first, we've got to look at the running order. So have a quick look at this now so you know where you are. Obviously, if you've got a pink target, wang the video on till the last part of it. Don't be just loitering through the other ones. The idea behind this is that you only watch the clips that are directly related to the targets you've been given. So have a look there. Remember what the order is so you know where to find your clips. Right, let's get into yellow. Alright, so the first bit of classic there is that it's not actually yellow, is it? It's orange. So what I've done first of all is I've learned the word orange, alright? That's what we need to do to start off with. Right, so this target's about splitting your answer into 3 separate paragraphs on money, power and religion. What you've probably done is written one paragraph a little bit like this one here, where it's just all together. So what you need to do is go through your answer and you need to highlight 3 different colours where you've mentioned it. So on mine, I'm going to have money in red, I'm going to have power in blue, and I'm going to have religion in yellow. Okay, so first of all on religion. So I've talked about the fact that Charles married a Catholic wife. That's religion, isn't it? Okay, and also when he invaded Scotland, he tried to make them pray differently. That's religion, isn't it? Now let's have a look at money in red. Ship tax, tried to make everyone pay ship tax, is money, okay. Yeah, and he was defeated, had to pay the Scots lots of money, that's money. And then power, he was defeated when he invaded Scotland, yeah, there you go. So you can see now, just looking at my answer, you can see, right, okay. So what I've done is I've mentioned 2 things to do with religion, 2 things to do with money, and 2 things to do with power. So what I need to do now is to try and then write me 3 separate paragraphs, 1 on money, 1 on power and religion. Don't change what you've done, just try and organise it so you've got those 3 paragraphs. Okay. Okay, so now we're on to the blue target. Include more examples of how religion causes civil war. So the idea is that you've written a paragraph on religion, but maybe you need to write more examples in. Or you've not written a paragraph on religion and you need to write one. Okay, now this is especially important in the mark scheme because religion is the topic stated in the question. So you definitely need to make sure you're writing about religion. If you was to miss off money and power, it wouldn't be as important as missing off religion. Okay, so let's have a look. Got 3 reasons here about why religion causes civil war. So first up then, we've got this first one here, okay, that Charles marries a Catholic. Okay. So Charles married the Catholic Henrietta Marie in 1626. This upset many people who feared what? Well, what did they fear? They feared that Charles was going to become a Catholic, okay? They were worried that Henrietta Marie would exert an influence on him that would make him Catholic, so you could put that down. They also probably feared about, what about if he had any children? What religion would they be? His wife's Catholic, does that mean that his children would be Catholic, okay? So that's certainly the first one. The second one is that Charles tried to make the church more Catholic. Have you written this? In the 1630s, Charles tried to make the church more Catholic by decorating the inside of the churches and banning sermons directly from the Bible. This upset Puritans because, right, well, a Puritan is someone who's a bit of an extreme Protestant. And what they're thinking is, well, we want to make the church really more plain, more extremely Protestant. And what's Charles doing? He's doing the exact opposite. So many Puritans were really upset because basically they were worried he was going to make bring the Catholic Church back. So try and make sure you mention that in that one. And finally, this 19 propositions that Parliament passed. Okay, now one of these propositions was to do with the education of the king's children. Okay, that's one of the 19 propositions. Obviously there was 19 of them. Okay, this really upset the king because, well, what right did Parliament have really to control the king's education of his children? Okay, and to say that his children cannot marry without Parliament's approval. The king felt this had gone too far, that it wasn't right that Parliament was able to control the education of his own children. That was a decision for himself. So what I would do, you might need to rewind this bit of a tape, that's fine, but make sure now you've included at least 1 more thing, ideally 2, in your religion paragraph. If you haven't done a paragraph on religion, now's the time to write one, and you can use what I've written and said here to help you put that paragraph together. Okay. Okay, so now we're into the red target. Okay, now you'll have got this target because either you've written a paragraph on money, but you haven't really written enough evidence in it, or you haven't written a paragraph on money at all. Now, if you've written a paragraph, what you should be looking at is what I'm going to go through now that isn't in your paragraph on money, and then add it in green pen. Or if you haven't written a paragraph on money, then what you want to be doing is looking through this and thinking, right, let's now write a paragraph on money. There's three main causes to do with money that I've picked up here, okay? The first is that Charles sent Parliament home. Now, although that's to do with power, the issue about money is that they're supposed to agree taxes, or the king is supposed to agree new taxes with Parliament. So this upsets Parliament because their job is to agree the taxes with the king. But when they're sent home for 11 years, for the 11 years of tyranny, they can't, can they? They can't agree these taxes. And that basically means that they're not able to fulfill their proper job. And that's really upsetting them. And they're worried that the king is going to grant taxes or get money in an unfair way. Finally, and an example of this perhaps is this ship money. It's like a concrete example. Supposed to be only paid by coastal counties and only in times of war. However, in 1635 and 36, Charles demanded ship money from all counties, even the ones that weren't near the coast, and there was no war going on. So this upset people because it was blatantly unfair. Why should this unpopular tax be introduced by Charles when there's no war going on and they're not by the sea? He's using it in the way it's not intended, okay? And it looked like it was going to be paid every year. People who refused to pay it were arrested. So it looked like Charles was using a tax in an unfair way, and that really upset people. And finally, obviously, when he invaded Scotland and lost, the Scots demanded money as compensation. Now, this upset Parliament, and because the Parliament is the only way that the king can get money. Okay, so in 1640 he had to go back to Parliament and beg for help. Okay, and the problem is that Parliament felt that they were being used. Okay, that's upsetting them. The king has only called us because he's lost this war. We should be in there all the time, advising him on his money and help him to choose which taxes to set up. So they felt used, really. That's the word I'd put in there, because he's only got them back because he needs this money to pay the Scots, okay? So have a look through that. As I say at the beginning, include some more examples, or write the paragraph if you haven't done one. Okay, so this is the green target. Include more examples of how power caused a civil war. Now, you'll either have been given this because you need to put more examples in your power paragraph. Maybe you've only written about one of the things here, or you haven't written a paragraph on power, so you need to write one, okay? So then what you can do is use these points to help you do that. Okay, so the examples I've talked about, first of all, to do with power, okay, and there are others, all right, is that Charles tried to arrest 5 MPs in January 1642. He burst into the House of Commons, 400 soldiers, but the MPs have been given a little bit of a tip-off, and they fled down the river. So this upset Parliament because, well, it showed that Charles was trying to take over, and they didn't trust him. Why is he planning to, they think, is he planning to get rid of Parliament? Why is he trying to arrest these 5 MPs, okay, like the ringleaders, the leaders of the kind of people in Parliament who are against him? He tries to arrest them, and that's it, basically, yeah. They got away, but they were worried that basically they didn't trust him. That's why it upset them, and they were worried that he was planning to get rid of Parliament altogether, okay? Now then, off the back of that, then, in March, on the other side of it, Parliament took control of the army without the king's permission. Now, basically, England needed an army, and the king had always controlled the army, okay? But they didn't trust him, okay? So they set up their own, they took up the control of the army as well. And obviously this upset the king because he'd always controlled the army. One of the key jobs of the king is to decide when a country goes to war and to lead the army, okay? Albeit not necessarily on the battlefield, although some did, but to actually be in charge of the army and what's going on, okay? Remember earlier on, the king had tried to invade France and Spain and failed, but obviously he was in charge of the army then, so it had always happened, okay? And that really upset the king. Because that was his role, okay? Now then, also, we've had this on one of the other slides, this 19 propositions. Now, I'm looking at a different proposition than I did with religion, and one of the 19 propositions was that the Parliament must agree all affairs of state, including foreign policy. And that really upset the king because he's the person who decides whether they go to war. Why should Parliament be able to have a say in what the country does? Yes, they should advise, but the fact that the Parliament had to sign off on everything to do with foreign policy, religion and finance really showed that the king was going to have to give up virtually all his power to Parliament, and that really upset him. So let's have a look through these examples. Try and add at least one, if not two, into your work, okay? Don't worry if you've written about other things that are not on here, that's perfectly fine. There's lots of stuff for power. I've just chosen these three because I think there are three that people maybe won't have written about, and therefore they can improve their answer. Okay, so there's been a slight formatting issue here. Basically, this is the purple target. Ensure I refer to my line of reason at the beginning of each paragraph, okay? That's what it should say, but paragraph for some reason sneaked underneath this incredible table that I've made, okay? Now then, obviously, before you start this, what you need to do is you need to think to yourself, which is my argument? Now, obviously, if you're religion, you're going to be here, down this area. If your argument is power is the most important, you're going to be here. If your argument's money was the most important, you're going to be here, okay? Now, what you probably have done, okay, you'll probably have made quite a good job of the top bit here, this bit. You've probably done that, whichever your argument is. You've probably said at the beginning, religion was the most important cause in your religion paragraph. Or if you've done about power, you've probably said power was the most important cause and then started telling me about power. Or similarly for money. But what you won't have done probably, and what is a little bit harder to do, is this bit down here, okay, in the bottom part of the box, okay? Now, obviously you've got to divide it up because you only have to do whichever one it is. So if I've written about religion, then what I need to do is I need to do this bit on the beginning of my power paragraph. So even though religion was the most important cause of the Civil War, power was still important because. So have a look if you've done about religion and change that bit. Even though religion was the most important cause of the Civil War, money was still important because. That's the beginning of your money paragraph. Obviously, if you're in the middle on power, then you're going to write, even though power is the most important cause of religion. So have a look through. Look at the top here and see which one of these you have actually done. And then work your way down the table, okay? Making sure the beginning of your paragraphs have been altered to show you what we call your line of reasoning. Okay, now that's really important for anyone targeted secure or excellence or people who want to get into the secure section. Okay, we've got some other issues here with formatting at the top. The navy target is at the end of the second and third paragraph. Explain why this reason is less important than the main reason you have given. Explain why this reason is less important than the main reason you have given. Okay, so what you've got to do at the beginning of this is you've got to think to yourself, right, well, what reason have I given? Have I done religion, power, or money? Whichever one you've done. So if you think religion's the most important, you're going to focus on this side of the paragraph here. Power, you're going to be in the middle, and money, you're going to be on that side. You're going to work your way down, okay? So you've written a paragraph on religion, right? And then you've written one on power, okay? Now, what you need to do now is to say at the end of that paragraph why power is not as important as religion. So you'd say something like, even though power is an important cause of the Civil War, it's not as important as religion because. So at the end of your power paragraph, you want to be putting that in. Then at the end of your money paragraph, you want to be putting this in. Even though money is an important cause of the Civil War, it's not as important as religion because. Now, this is a really important line of reasoning, particularly if you were looking to get excellence or cement a strong excellence answer. So obviously what you need to do is look and see whether you've done religion, power, or money, and then work your way down this. And you should only do this in the second two paragraphs. You shouldn't be writing anything if you've done religion, you shouldn't be writing anything at the end of the religion paragraph, or if you've done power, you shouldn't write anything at the power. You should only be doing it in the other two, and that's really important. At the end of your second and third paragraph, this is where this needs to come in. Alright, so use the sentence starters in your green pen, put a little star if it won't fit, and add this to the end of your paragraph, and that will really give you a very, very strong excellence answer. Okay, so this is the pink target. Now, you might have got this target for two reasons. Either you haven't written a conclusion at all, so that's important, or you have, but maybe you've not written it to the standard that your target grade requires, okay? So what you need to do is look at some of these sentence starters. Now, the idea is that this should form one paragraph. It shouldn't be three paragraphs of conclusion, it should be one, but it should have all three of these points in there. So first of all, are you writing about religion? Are you writing about power, or are you writing about money? Get in the right column based on what your argument is. And then what you need to do is complete these three sentences in one paragraph, okay? So if you're doing about religion, you need to put these three sentences together into one paragraph and finish them off, okay? These three here. Now, what you tend to find is that people who've done a conclusion tend to do a really good job of doing this bit at the top. saying why religion, money or power is the most important reason. Whatever you write, that tends to be done well. But what tends to be harder is these ones down here. These two, saying why it's more important than the other two reasons. And that's probably, if you've written a conclusion, it'll be the bits in red there that I've just highlighted that you won't have done. All right, so have a look through, spend your time and make sure that your conclusion at the end in green pen has all three of these sentence starters completed in one paragraph. Thank you.